Issue 183. The story starts with Supersonic and Ebony overlooking a cliff that's got Eggman's mountain base on it, and Super has old man wrinkles on his cheeks as Ebony says that chaos energy is the only thing that can save him, because apparently now all of a sudden, Super's aging very rapidly. I mean, Supersonic is supposed to be a temporary transformation that drains energy over time, but it's not supposed to show that by old age. I guess that's just how it shows it when it's become a separate being with an actual unique body to it. Still, this comes out of nowhere. We don't see him discovering this happening for the first time. I guarantee you if this was RG, we would have, but instead, the comic only has one short story per issue now, so they wouldn't have room to show us that anymore. Super says that Ebony should let him take it from here since it's dangerous, and she says she's coming regardless because she's his friend. Never mind the fact that he has every reason to worry about her well-being once he becomes evil again. She's definitely the emotion before reason type. An Eggman who has some sort of sunglasses but still in the uncanny valley of modern and zaddy M design, leaves it to Grimer to try to stop him out of spite. Amy asks Sonic if he's alright, and Perfect Chaos says he plans to recreate the planet in his image. Well, that came out of nowhere. That's certainly original compared to the game where he's a mutated child lashing out the wall for hurting Chow, which was an actually sympathetic motive and a refreshing twist as opposed to this, which is just generic evil villain territory. I can imagine he was like a soldier who would have been annoyed at being abandoned, but not necessarily wanting to reshape the whole world in his image. He reshapes Eggman's fortress, and Eggman looks on the bright side that the old place was due for renovating anyways. Sonic says that while the fear effect is working on him, he's concentrating on his own rage to ignore it. He grabs a Chaos Emerald away from Chaos as he jumps through his body, and Amy says that if they could get all of the emeralds, they'd have a chance. After Eggman doesn't care that this is the end for them all because he's not the ruler of the world anymore, which makes sense for him, suddenly Supersonic shows up with Ebony. And Ebony tells Sonic that he's dying because his chaos energy is almost used up. Sonic doesn't want to risk letting Super near Chaos since anything might happen if he was exposed to that level of power. The story ends with Super jumping inside of Chaos and being electrocuted. Isn't that backwards? You'd think that he would electrocute Chaos, and thus destroy him because he's a water being. This story was by Nigel Kitching. Well, it does make sense that Super would eventually start dying because he's a being of chaos energy who wasn't meant to exist for years on end. It's supposed to be a temporary transformation. It just felt weird and confusing at first because it came out of nowhere and they portrayed that as him having wrinkles of old age when he's only been living separate from Sonic for a few years. It seems very arbitrary. Why would he age faster than Sonic? It makes sense that he couldn't spend his entire life being peaceful and normal with Ebony, but it was so sudden with no story about when he first discovered this was happening to him. So it feels so arbitrary that he's robbed of his happy life. If only the comic bothered to have a story dedicated to us seeing that for the first time and Ebony tracking down Chaos however she did that, instead of comic space being wasted on valueless reprints instead. Seriously, I don't see how this saves that much money because they still have to, that would still take up pages. So wouldn't that still cost just as much money? The story has him jump into Chaos to try to get a recharge of his power. I guess Ebony insisted on him doing this, but he kept saying that he wanted to give himself up. So you think he would just go hide somewhere and let himself die instead of jumping into Chaos when he should know what's going to happen to him if he does. Also, it's awful nice of Chaos to just stand there doing nothing against the heroes while politely waiting for Ebony and Sonic to finish talking to each other. You'd think he would, if their petty squabbles don't mean anything to him, why didn't he just destroy them all already? It seems very arbitrary. And that's really all that happens, other than Sonic taking away one of Chaos's emeralds by jumping through him in a rage, despite being terrified. So that was pretty badass of him. For the most part, it was just characters talking. Grimer and Eggman wasting time when we get it already, and Ebony trying to reason with Sonic that Super's changed, which he won't understand because, naturally, he hasn't known Super when he was good. I don't think he ever will believe Ebony, so that plot thread is never really going to be resolved. It was stupid of Ebony to put herself in danger by coming here with Super though. She's definitely the more emotional type, where You're my friend. Honor before reason, even though it could get me killed. I think I like her, though.